Good, Wayne. Thank you. Tim, good to see you guys. All right, Paul. Good, good, good. All right, everybody. Welcome. This is Tuesday. You know what Tuesday is. It's closing bell, and we always bring our channel partners and guests in here to kind of educate all of you. If it's not regarding on stocks, it'll be on Forex, it'll be on futures, it'll be on options. You know, and we always like to kind of bring our channel partners to come in every 3 to 6 months to kind of tell you what's new, what's going on, what they're working on, and educating all of you. Because always remember, 90% of your time is spent on trading, training, education, and 10% is on trading. So I'd like to thank, you know, today's speaker that we have today is Bill. And Bill is actually a pretty good friend of mine. I know Bill for a long, long time ago. Some of you are very familiar with DTI, and I've had plenty of times to meet Bill down in Mobile, you know, and talking to him a little bit about trading. And, you know, he's actually on his own, and, you know, and things been working out pretty well by him running his company called Night Scalper. So he said, you know, always like to invite people to come down and talk and educate the students here at Cybertrade University, and get to feel, learn a little bit from everyone what works best for you. So he's going to be talking a little bit after that, and then at 5:30, Greg McDermott's going to come on. He's going to talk. He's going to do an exclusive event talking about Forex trading. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the ball over to Bill. Bill, the stage is all yours. Just give Bill a second to turn his microphone, and we'll get started. All right, just looks like Bill's got a microphone on, but didn't hear him talking. Bill, go ahead and just do an audio check.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. I can't even see the chat room now. All I see are our slides. Yeah. Wait a minute. They say they have audio now. All right. Bye.
Bill, what you need to do is move your mouse up on top, and a little drop-down menu will come where you can click on chat and participants.
Pascal, I can't even see the chat room now because the slides covering it up. All I see are my slides.
There's a little drop-down menu comes up. It's like all the way in the top of your window. A thing will roll down, and you can click on the participants and chat.
Okay. Click on chat.
Yep.
I showed the chat up there. Can y'all hear me okay?
We hear you loud and clear.
All right. Sorry about this, folks. I don't know what I was doing wrong. It's not like this is my first rodeo. All right. Well, thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. Thank you, Pascal. As he said, we go way back, and we've been in this business a long time. But what we're going to talk about today, and I hope it's something unique and something different that you haven't heard about. But our sandbox, if you will, is the after-hours market. And I'm not talking about the market that trades, after the U.S. markets close, where they trade equities from about 5 to 7 o'clock. We're talking about a very different market that has a very different set of rules and dynamics. And I have been in this market almost since inception. In fact, I was one of the folks who worked on order entry and electronic trading. And we refer to this market as the Globex. Woody, I assume you're going to have to advance the slides. And speaking of Woody, he's one of my associates, will be in the room with us today. And if you'll hold your questions till the end, he can answer a lot of your questions in the chat, and then I'll answer them as well. But at any rate, for those of you not familiar with the Globex, and if you don't mind, how many of you have actually traded in that space? Now, this is where you trade futures. They start trading at 5 o'clock, and they trade till the market's open at 8:30 in the morning. Have any of you spent any time in that market or traded in that market? Because that'll help me decide where we take this today. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you are not familiar with this market. So what markets do most of you trade if you've traded? Options, equities, what have you? Okay, so the market we're going to talk about today has only been around since the early 90s. And you'll meet very, very, very few people who have been involved with that market since inception. In fact, I know most of them, and because it was a very small community. We didn't have anyone to tell us to do this or not do that, what the rules of this market was, because there wasn't a handbook or someone to teach us. So I have, as I said, been involved since the inception, and Reuters developed this platform, if you will. Essentially how it came about, it was to accommodate Forex traders who, as many of you know, the Forex is open 24 hours a day during the trading hours and trading days. And they would have the floor traders standing around, and, of course, the volume was very light. I'm sure it was a money-losing proposition. So they developed an electronic platform, which today, you can probably say this was the grandfather of just about all the electronic platforms you trade on or are familiar with. And in the origination of that market, it would open at 3:30 after the U.S. closed and trade till 8:15. And there was only a handful of financial markets that you could trade, such as you could trade the big S&Ps. There were no mini contracts whatsoever. You could trade the bonds. You could trade all the currencies, of course, because that's what it was developed for. Now today, just about any market you can think of, financial markets that has a futures, you can now trade. And the way I got involved with it, I was a portfolio manager managing several hundred millions of dollars at one of the New York firms. I spent most of my career at Maryland Prudential Securities, and I ended up in my career at Raymond James. So I spent a lot of time, with these firms. And in the 90s, I don't remember the exact year now, I was trying to figure out a way to short the Nikkei in Japan. I think a lot of you, if you've been following the markets for some time, will remember that that index was north of 40,000. That's now in the $13,000, $14,000 range. It actually got down to, I think, 7,000 on the index. You know, this is, of course, comparing to our Dow. And this was when we thought the Japanese were going to take over the world. They bought Rockefeller Center. They bought Pebble Beach. A lot of the famous landmarks in this country and other places in Europe they were buying. Their economy was booming. They had plenty of liquidity, plenty of money. And I just thought that market was overheated, and I was trying to figure out a way to take advantage of it in case it decided to sell off. And so even though I worked for a big New York firm and we had offices in Japan, it was still cumbersome because I was going to have to, of course, open an account in that country. Everything was going to be, for the most part, in Japanese. Of course, you had to convert to the yen to transact. I was trying to buy puts on the Nikkei at the time. And, you know, I couldn't get quotes. I couldn't figure out what was going on real time. So it was just such a hard market to figure out how to take advantage of it, even though I thought I had the right concept. You know, the dynamics, if you will, of you know, actually making that take place, that trade, were so cumbersome that I just said the heck with it and never put it on. And of course, it's like everything else in life. The one that would have really worked well, I didn't do. And, you know, of course, that's all history now. But, you know, today, guys and gals, and this is the market we're going to talk about, if you find a market like the Nikkei or the Hang Seng that you want to buy or short, the DAX in Germany, the FTSE in the UK, just about any market anywhere in the world and any of their futures on their bonds, you can, with the click of a mouse now, take advantage of opportunities, you know, around the world, literally 24 hours a day. And it's just amazing technology whenever I think back on how far this has come. In fact, in the early days, they had a Globex terminal. That's the only way you could enter orders before we had open access, as we call it today. And you had to be approved by the exchange. It was a few $1,000s just to obtain the terminal, and then it was like $1,000 or $1,200 a month. The commissions were $25 round turn. I mean, it was just a whole different animal than what we see and what we know today. Today, anyone with a few $1,000s in an account, they have a platform. They can get on their laptop, click a button, and take advantage of these markets when they see opportunities. Okay, Woody. Now, Woody, who's in the room with me today, you'll see him, his name here. He is one of the few, maybe the only, rocket scientist, real live rocket scientist. He was with NASA with their shuttle program. When they shut the shuttle program down, he decided to become a trader. He joined our group and was trading with us, and became so involved that he actually ended up joining with us. And now he's one of our associates and traders that work with us in this market at night, and he's developed a lot of our systems. He'll come on here in a minute and talk a little bit about that. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is that, and I've been doing this, as I said, for a very long time. I've been teaching it. I've been trading it. I've lived it. And anyone who wants to learn to trade futures, they think that the best place to do that is in the U.S. market during the day. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. If you want to learn how to trade futures, the best place to do it is at the Globex at night. And here's some of the reasons on the slide that you see before you. It's a slower moving market. You don't have near the volatility that you have during the day. It's a better trending market. And this is probably one of the more important concepts that folks, you know, really just don't understand about this space, is that you don't have these buy and sell programs, these high frequency trading programs. Now, I'm not going to tell you there aren't computers putting in orders on some of the markets that we follow, but there's just not enough volume in this market at night to accommodate these quant models. As many of you know, it's volume that drives these programs, these high frequency trading programs. So because it's less volatile, obviously it's less risk, and you could use 2.25 point stops, which is what we do generally. And and I know 2-point stops mean nothing during the day with what we've been observing here of late in the last few months. You could even have this market figured out, have the direction nailed, and still, get a little bounce and get stopped out with 2 points. At night, 2 points, you have a very good chance of staying in the trade. So that means less volatility, means you can use tighter stops. Obviously, that equates to less risk. And I have spent many, many, many years developing trade signals that only work at night. Now, in addition to trading in this space, it is a wonderful tool for speculation, as we just talked about, and hedging. This is what a lot of folks don't realize. Let's say you go home, during the day, your portfolio is working out well. You have your model the way you want it set up, and diversification. It's performing as you hoped, and then you wake up in the morning to find out there was a tsunami in Japan or a Lehman event like we had in 08. More recently, the crisis in Greece and what's going on in the Ukraine. Next thing you know, the market that you thought you understood all of a sudden has changed direction and going the other way. And the Globex, or this market that we're talking about this afternoon, this is the only place where you can go in and, using futures, hedge your portfolio. You don't have to wait till the market's open at 8:30 in the morning. So it's an excellent tool for not just trading, but for hedging your portfolio. And it's the only place, once the markets close here in the U.S., that you're able to do that. All right, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time because our time together is limited. But and you can get these slides, by the way, by emailing us at Night Scalper and get a lot of this information. But this is just a real quick slide on what trying to hedge a portfolio looks like. Okay, Woody. So I know many of you have thought this through. You've been asked by other folks in the business, and this is probably one of the main topics of conversation if you're trying to learn how to trade. What is the difference between an average trader and a successful one? And this is how we view it. Obviously, an effective plan, a plan that you have a discipline and that you follow, a plan you have confidence in, obviously. So after all these years of doing what I do as a futures trader, we're going to talk a little bit about how we approach trading in this space, trading the futures, and the systems that we use. All right, so I hope today, before we're done, we're going to talk about key market times because those are important. You don't have to really think about that during the day. This is, again, one of the differences of trading in the Globex at night. We'll talk a little bit about the proprietary signals and indicators that I've spent a good time of my career developing. We're going to talk about Greekisms. Now, Greekisms, that is a nickname for broad signals and patterns that I've identified by watching this market over the years. They were called, nicknamed Greekisms. We have a chat room that's, I would venture to say, one of the friendlier chat rooms around. The people in our room are very social, very helpful. They like to give each other nicknames, and they name these signals, if you will, that we see in the Globex as Greekisms. That's why they're called that, after my heritage. Of course, I'm a full-blooded Greek, even though I was born and raised in this country. That is my heritage. And the most important, and this is where I see most folks who fall short in their trading, is money management. They just underestimate how important a good money management system is. And we'll talk about these components and how we bring them all together to trade in the Globex. Okay. All right, key market times. Now, during the day, of course, the U.S. is in control. It's the dog, as I like to say, that wags the tail. But once the U.S. closes and we start trading again at 5 o'clock here in the U.S. is not in control. In fact, it is affected by other markets And the markets that I have found in all my years of doing this is the Asian market. It is the market that basically will affect the S&Ps. And as I go through these slides, guys and gals, we're only talking about the E-mini, the S&Ps. That's all we trade, even though we look at a lot of other markets to help us find direction with the S&Ps. So we're only interested in those markets that move the S&Ps and that affect the S&Ps. And those markets in the Asian session, they go from, and we define that as from 5 p.m. till 12, or the Hang Seng and the Nikkei. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask me, well, what about the markets in South Korea or Australia that's during this space? And the answer is, yes, those are important markets, but they just don't affect the S&Ps, and we're only interested in those markets that affect the S&Ps and can help us find that direction that we're looking for. Then we get into the European markets. That starts around 12 a.m., goes till 5 in the morning. And once you get past 5 o'clock, you start to get into the U.S. market and its dynamics. And the controlling markets that, in my experience, I have found are the DAX and the FTSE in the UK. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that during these key market times, there are other markets that affect the S&Ps that generally don't affect, and I'm not talking about big news now, like what's going on in the Ukraine or what happened in Greece or what have you in Europe when they were having their financial crisis. I'm speaking of on a regular basis at night. When these markets go up or down, they affect how the S&Ps trade. Now, I think we all understand we're in a 24-hour market. We're all in an international economy, in the international trading and trading financial markets. And one market, especially the major markets, as many of you know, if what happens in China now can affect what happens in the U.S., especially now that China is number 2, just recently overtaken Japan. But just think about this, and we had a number last night that affected the market, at least for a little bit. But, you didn't care a few years ago about the GDP in China or the PMI in China. I mean, let's face it, and people tend to forget this. It's still a communist country. It's still ruled by a ruling party, but it walks and talks like a capitalistic system. But, if you don't know what is going on in China, you're not familiar with its PMI or its inflation numbers. They just announced last night some measures to add more liquidity, as a lot of other countries are doing. And so if you don't know what's going on in these other countries in the world, it can dramatically affect how you trade. It can dramatically affect your investing. So if I leave you with anything today, and all this is said and done, if you ignore the Globex, you ignore the 17 hours of information at night, you're ignoring a tremendous amount of information that can help make you a better trader and a better investor. So even if you don't have an intention of learning how to trade in this space, you really need to have a basic understanding of this market and what takes place, or you're at a huge disadvantage. I can't tell you how many times, well, most of the time you wake up in the morning and the way the U.S. opens is based, we haven't had news now, like at 7:30, based on what took place in the markets overseas. And I have spent years developing proprietary signals that are only work in this market at night. They're not going to do you any good during the day, and I'll explain that here a little later. So at night we have, and you have some of these during the day as well. We have certain pivot times when we know these markets are going to affect the S&Ps. For example, 12:30 to 1 o'clock, just before the DAX opens, the markets are known to move. And just about any time before one of the major markets that we follow opens, you'll see a movement in the S&Ps. You need to know, there are certain time zones in the market at night where you could see a reversal. For example, there's a 2:30 pivot. A lot of times if you rally into 2:30 a.m. in the morning, chances are you'll see it, go the other direction for a little bit. Enough for a scalp. It might not be, a total turnaround, but enough, where you can maybe pick up a point or two. All right, so a minute ago I talked about proprietary indicators that I've developed. Many of you will have a DOM on your computer, the depth of market. That's how you see what the volume is and how you enter orders. Well, in our system, this is a primary indicator. Now, it works very well between the hours of 5 and all the times that I'm going to speak about this evening are Central Time. But it works very well between the hours of 5 o'clock in the evening, and that's when these markets, this is when the whole day actually starts for trading futures in the world. You know, most folks think the markets start at 8:30 in the morning. Well, no, they start at 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, which is in another hour, that's when the world of futures begins its trading day and goes till 4:15 the next day. But the DOM is one of our primary indicators. It's a very useful indicator. It works great between the hours of 5 p.m. and 5 a.m., as I was about to say. But you try to use it during the day, it's just not that effective. In fact, it's totally ineffective during the trading hours of the U.S. when the U.S. is open. And we look at other markets, such as the bonds here late because of all the stimulus in Japan. We'll follow the euro, and if there's an ECB announcement, we'll follow, the yen in Japan and the euro in Europe. Okay, sir. Now, a minute ago, we talked about Greekisms, and these essentially are events that we see that take place in this market. There's some 15 of them. We obviously don't have time to go through them today, but I'll give you just an example of what one of those looks like, and so you'll sort of get a feel for what we're talking about. One of my favorite setups, this is the one that we take advantage of on a regular basis in our chat room, is let's say you get a huge rally as we did yesterday. We saw the market rally into the close. They closed at, I think, top tick of the last hour of trading. That's important. You know, they closed near the top tick the last hour of trading. They closed in the 93.5, 94 range. So we put out a email. That's how we notify our subscribers in our chat room. We put out a message in the chat room to go short into the close. So we sold them around, and Woody, I don't remember what the numbers are now. The days running together around 90. I want to say 93.5, I think is where we sold them, and we bought them back at 92.5 in the first few minutes. We already made a point, and right after the market's open. Now the way this works is a lot of times you'll have like on a Friday where we'll have news, especially the employment number, and if it comes out very weak, less than what the street was looking for, then all of a sudden you'll see a quick sell-off in the futures. I don't know if any of you have ever watched that, watch the futures when that news is announced on the first Friday at 7:30 each month. And it's probably the biggest market mover news-wise I can think of. And all of a sudden the S&Ps will sell off because the number came in worse than expected. Then they'll spend the rest of the day, you know, the market working its way back up. And I don't know how many days we've seen this market rally into the last hour, close near the top tick of trading, and then we'll sell it into that top tick, and then usually we get a pullback early. We can take advantage of it. And so one of the Greekisms is, you know, when we get these short covering rallies where everyone was short based on bad news, all of a sudden the market starts to move up and the triggering stops. This is what we like to short into at the close and take advantage of it on the opening during the following session. So in other words, we sell them somewhere between 3:30 and 4:15, and somewhere between 5 and maybe even 5:30, we're covering the short and going to the sidelines. Okay, Woody. Greekism number 8, options expiration. And all of the events and indicators that I talk about, guys and gals, you know, and I know they don't work 100% of the time, but these are observations that I've made that work at least 80% of the time. And if you can find something it works 80% of the time you can make money, even 70% of the time. And here's another one. The Monday after options expiration, the market usually opens up in the morning. We did it this past options expiration, I believe the month before that. Excuse me again. And why this is important is that our markets, we start trading on Sunday nights at 5 o'clock. And let's say you get short and you know, you're moving along, your trade's working out for you. And as the evening and morning progresses, you know that there's a Greekism that says that the market's probably, high probability, going to open up Monday morning, because there's still a lot of alignment and adjustments of portfolios that take place after Friday options expire. If you know that information, then you know at some point you need to cover your short and go to the sidelines, because again, there's a high probability we're going to open up on Monday morning in the U.S. Okay, sir. All right, as I said a few minutes ago, money management. This is where I find most folks fall short in their trading. And if you don't have a disciplined money management system, one that you have confidence in, you're just not going to be consistent in your trading. So let me tell you a little bit how we go about that. Okay, so I think we all know this one is one of the biggest mistakes, and all of these that I'm going through, we've all made when we start out. And I hope that if I say anything today, I can save you a lot of this pain and misery, because I know I certainly pay my tuition to learn this stuff. Is that overtrading. Overtrading is the #1 mistake that we see. And trying to hit home runs. I know you're probably familiar with these two. This one, not so much. Withdrawing profits on a regular basis. What we encourage folks to do is take a withdrawal from their account monthly, quarterly. You know, reward yourself for following your discipline and for your efforts and your work. And not trading enough contracts or trading too many. So these are some of the biggest mistakes we see, and let me tell you how we go about that. All right. I will also tell you that if you want to join our group because you just like the adrenaline and the rush of trading, I'll tell you probably in the wrong room. This room that we trade in, this space we trade in, sometimes can be boring. It requires a lot of patience. Sometimes it moves a lot. Sometimes it doesn't move that much. But we have systems to deal with that. But our goal is to make 1 to 2 points a day, because most of the folks, the first thing we ask them to do when they join our group is set a goal. So let's just say, for conversation's sake, you want to supplement your income a couple of $1,000s a month. Well, by just setting that goal, you can determine how many contracts you want to trade, how much risk you're going to take, what kind of stops you're going to use, and it all comes down, you know, falls into place, if you will. So again, using the example that I just used, let's say you want to set a goal of $2,000 a month. You assume there are 20 trading days in the average month. All you have to do is average $100 a day. And guys and gals, if you're trading 2 contracts, all you need to find in this market is 1 point, and you've met your goal. So if you can make $100 a day, or night, or morning, as we say in the space we trade in, then you can meet your goal. Now, you're not going to make money every night. You know it, and I know it. So, you know, some nights you may average 150, and some nights you may have losing trades. But overall, you know, your goal is to average that $100 a day, then you'll make your goal. Now, here's the toughest part. It's tough. If I have a weakness, this is probably the one that I have, is I can't tell you how many times I reach my goal trading in this space at night only to give it back during the day. When you reach a goal, guys and gals, we encourage you to quit, stop, you know, go do something else, read a book, watch TV. And that's something else too. I know many of you, as you listen to this presentation, you listen to what we're talking about and what we do, you're thinking, well, sounds like I've got to learn a lot about international economics. Well, you don't. It's not complicated at all. Are you going to say to me, Bill, you know, I have a job or I have kids and I can't stay up all night? And we know that. We're well aware of that. And, you know, we have developed ways where, you know, you can turn on your computer. We put on a trade. If there's a change in the trade or the trade hits one of our stops or hits one of our profit targets, we come back on. We make an alarm in the room. We make noise to get your attention. We send out emails, send out Twitters. You know, there's all sorts of ways for you to get notified that we're putting a trade on or we're getting out of a trade or something's changed with the trade without you having to sit there and stare at the screen all night. So we encourage you to treat this program as a job. You learn the process, you minimize your risk, don't overtrade, and, you know, reward yourself on a regular basis, sort of like Pavlov's dog. The more you reward yourself, the more apt you are to do it on a consistent basis. All right, Woody, how much time do we have? All right, take 2 minutes and just real quick show them what some of our technicals look like, and then I'll come back on and take some questions.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay. I'm not going to go over all the details of the slides, but this is basically what we project in our room, and we show the futures, we show the foreign markets that we're looking at, we show the real-time Singapore and Hang Seng from the Hong Kong exchange data, which is real-time as opposed to what you might get from the CME, which is delayed. You can't afford to trade at night with delayed data, so we have the real-time data here. We have the European information markets as well, and real-time in the DAX. We do have a chart that we project. However, you know, Bill's trades he calls based on tape reading and watching the levels. This is something else that we use for scalping. We have some volume indicators to show where the movement's going to be. Let me go to the next slide here. Bill talked about the dome. We have an automatic dome that shows up in our room at night, and basically this adds up the contracts and the technique that we use, and it tells you which way the price is going to move based on the level of contracts bid and ask. We do something called initial balance, and we have it for all the different markets, and it's the first hour, sort of sets the parameters for the rest of that market's profile, and we have some indicators that show that. They have extensions, 3 to the upside and 3 to the downside after the first hour. This is a slide that explains initial balance. If you write me at woody@nightscalper.com, I'll be happy to send you these slides and you can discuss some of those. We have another indicator that's sort of trade by color. You'd have to use that on a fairly high-level chart. It really doesn't work for us at night, but this is something that we can use in our day operation. There's a description of what trade by color does, and we're back to Bill picking up here.
All right, Woody, thanks. I'm sorry we had to run through that, but
that's all right.
It's
myself.
Again, you know, email us at Night Scalper, and he'll put the email address up, and you folks can email us, and we'll send you these slides and send you this information so you can study it at your leisure. But again, what's important is this market has its own key market times and rules. It's different from trading during the day. We have the proprietary signals and indicators that I've spent years developing. We have the Greekisms, which are, just events and observations that I have noticed to take place in this market. And then we have our money management system that we just talked about. Okay, Woody. So here's how we operate. This is what we're going to do this afternoon. We call live trades nightly. It's moderated by myself, Woody, and another fellow, Harry, or Bass Boat is his nickname. All of the trades are tracked diligently, as we like to say, and efficiently by an engineer. And you know how engineers are, as he likes to say, numbers are numbers, numbers don't lie. Real quick, we'll send you these indicators. We'll send you the graphs of the returns. You get a little ballpark here of how we do. But again, I don't have time to go through that, so Woody, go ahead. Next slide. Let's just go, we're not going to go through this tonight. Let's just go, because we're running out of time. I'm sorry, guys and gals. All right. So, the method is simple. If you want to learn how to trade futures, this is the best place to do it. It's not complicated. And, you don't have to have any experience to learn to trade in this space. This is the best place to learn if you want to learn how to trade futures, because and I know they can be very volatile, especially during the day. Whether you want to trade or not, you should understand this market, and at least in basic terms, some of the rules and some of the information that you can garner from being in this space. So real quick, this is the offer we're going to make to you today. And let me preface it by saying it this way. If you learn just one thing from being in our room, and I promise you, you will learn at least one thing, many more, that will help you become a better trader and a better investor during the day. So for $47, you can join us for 30 days. Join the chat room. You're going to get our 101 course on trading in the Globex. You get 30 days access to the trade room. We have in-depth trading classes and education the first Tuesday of every month. We have trade alerts via email and Twitter. We'll get market times and indicators of trades from myself, Woody, and Harry. You'll get low-risk, high-reward trade setups and all the useful tools, trade signals, and indicators, and that's $47 for 30 days. After that, if you stay in the room, it goes to $147 a month, and that is for 17 hours. Well, it's not quite 17. It's actually 12 that we're in the chat room. We generally go from 5 at night till 5 in the morning. Sometimes we may wind her up at 3 o'clock like we did last night because, we've made our money, we've made the trade, we're done with it. So this is our offer to you. Like I said, $47 to see if it does what we say it does and see if it can fit your lifestyle. I will also tell you that in the next couple of months, we're probably going to have one of the only 24-hour chat rooms. When I say 24 hours, it's literally staffed by professional traders that will cover trading currencies, options, equities, the E-mini at night, E-mini during the day, scalping trades. And so that is part of the program that we're working on, and we hope to roll that out here very soon. All right, so I told you I would take a few minutes for questions. If we run out, email us at Night Scalper, and we'll be happy to answer them. So any questions, guys or gals, because our time is running out. Okay, so we thank you for let's see here. We have a group that we are affiliated with that support Ninja and the OEC trading platform, OpenECRI, and we'll be happy to refer that group to you to that group for trading. But we really don't care where you have your account or where you trade, as long as you have real-time quotes on these markets at night that we follow. You have a dome, then you can trade with us. So, you know, most of you are going to have a lot of that information available in your own account. Where do you think the best place to go to learn how to write a trading plan? Wow, that's a tough one. My experience has been that you get a little information from people like Fasto. You get information from, you know, people like myself and others. Then you come up with a discipline that fits your lifestyle and your risk tolerance, and you develop, you know, a trading plan that you're comfortable with. You're not going to get it right the first time around, but you can tweak it, and eventually, hopefully, you have something that works for you. The key is that when you develop a trading plan, that it's something that you follow and that you're disciplined with. If you keep jumping around and changing it every, you know, day, you're going to get into trouble. Okay, if there are no further questions, we thank you for your time this afternoon. We hope you have a great rest of the week. And again, if you want these slides and the returns and the trades that we've made, anything that we talked about this afternoon, we'll be happy to send you the information.